take Lambda School. It is a pretty big time commitment. I know you mentioned the tuition. It's on the back end once someone gets a job, but you do have to go through the program for 6 months, and then you mentioned that on average it takes someone 3 months to get a job. So overall, like, who is this? Who is the type of person that goes through it? And maybe you can describe some stories and call out some people who like at the top of the mind for you.
Yeah. So one of the really cool things about Lambda School is, a lot of the schools that charge $20K up front, they have a certain type of student that, they went to Harvard and they're looking to move into tech. Like, that's not us. Our students generally come from, poorer backgrounds in general. That's not true across the board. But we're really, I don't care where you went to school. I don't care what you're doing for work. I don't care how much money you have. What I want is somebody with grit and is determination and is willing to put in the work. Other than that, we can solve for everything. So one of our first students that was hired, a man who was working, he had a couple kids, single father, African American in Georgia.
That's where I'm from.
We're from. One of the southern states. It was either Mississippi or Georgia. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, working in an Amazon warehouse, and now he's a software engineer at Uber. So his income is like 5x what it was.
Yeah. That's super cool.
And since your program is online, and a lot of the tech jobs are usually centered around like metropolitan areas, which is not necessarily true because there's also remote jobs, but kind of how do you see the tech job markets kind of outside of the big cities, New York, San Francisco? How do you see those tech cities developing, and can you still find jobs in rural areas of these Midwestern and Southern states?
Yeah, that's a secret that I don't want the other code schools to figure out. Is that actually, we find that it's harder to get a job in San Francisco than it is in rural Ohio. Because if you're coming to San Francisco, you're competing against all of the top tech talent in the world that is trying to get into one place.
Yep.
If you're in Canton, Ohio, you're the only engineer in Canton, Ohio.
Yep.
And if you're a Kroger and you have to hire 100 software engineers in Canton, Ohio, you've got to take who shows up.
Yeah.
And frankly, the standard of living is probably higher than it is.
I was in Columbus last week, and I was thinking about the same exact thing, and we were talking about that phenomenon right there, that there's less competition in that regard. And speaking about career coaches, though, something that I've seen a lot for people that are in the job search is that a lot of companies will still say, "Oh, you're too junior. Like, we don't hire junior engineers." What are your thoughts about like internships and apprenticeships? Like, are there things like that happening in other places or just right here? Or what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, that's all over the place. I think. So first of all, I think the you're too junior is like, so when we're a startup and we're raising money, people say like, you're not far enough along yet. That really just means no. Right? It doesn't matter how junior you are if you're good. So that said, if you can get a year of experience under your belt, the whole world opens up and you can go work anywhere you want to.
Yep.
So we've generally found that you can overcome that if you're good enough of an engineer and getting into a normal job. And we kind of build out internships as a backstop.
Got it.
That said, we're working on some really high profile internships with some of the top companies in the world. That's different, right? It's different if you're going to be an intern at Tesla, that's very real. If you're going to be an intern at Stripe, that's very real. If you're going to be an intern at some web dev shop that you've never heard of before, sometimes that's just you not getting paid as much. So it all depends.